Welcome to another Microsoft Excel tutorials. And in Microsoft Excel there are so many special tools and commands which are used for our data analysis and manipulation. But in this video I want us to focus on two variables or two arguments that we normally use for our data operation, and these variables are most used or frequently used in our Microsoft Excel workbook. These variables we are going to talk about, they have their similarities, and also when it comes to character wise they are different, but in terms of data operation they have some similarities. But today I want to clarify this argument or these variables to you because they have their differences. But most of Excel users, when we are using these two variables we are going to talk about in this video, we interchange them or we assume that they are of the same operation. But when it comes to its operation respectively to these variables, they have their differences, and today I'm going to clarify that to you. So without any further ado, let's quickly jump into this video and look at these two variables or these two arguments we are going to talk about in Microsoft Excel. What are these variables? We have functions and we have formulas. And as an Excel user, or if you are a frequent user of Microsoft Excel, you are familiar with these two variables. Or even not being an advanced user of Microsoft Excel, you might have heard of these two variables in Microsoft Excel, which are these functions and also formulas. So what are functions? Functions are inbuilt formulas that performs specific calculations or operations. Let me have a recap. Functions are inbuilt. When we say something is inbuilt, it's a predefined and qualified character that do not have any change. It is already available in an application. You just have to click and it performs its operations, meaning you don't have to have any modifications or any editing to that particular character. So when we say something is an inbuilt, it is a predefined character which do not need any modification. So functions are inbuilt formulas that performs specific calculations or operations. They simplify complex calculations and save time. Some examples of these functions are sum, mean, max, and also average. And if you are a user of Microsoft Excel, you know that these inbuilt functions that we are talking about, when you click, they have their characters which are already inbuilt into Microsoft Excel, and when you do so, it performs calculations automatically. The moment you click on such functions in Microsoft Excel, they perform their job quickly and it saves time as well. So this is a theoretical explanation of functions, and as I said earlier, I will take my time to theoretically and also practically explain these functions and formulas. Now, what are formulas? Before we get into formulas, let me dive you into the world of graphic designs. And there is this profitable and also well-known company that has a standout output of graphic designs, and if you are an individual personnel who wants to have the best designs outputted to you, then I will recommend this particular graphic design company to you. And the name of this graphic design company is Power Graphs One, and this company provides a lot of designs which are polished, professional, and as usual best designs, and their motto is to make your brand stand out. And when you get into the abode of this particular company, they have a lot of services they are ready to provide to you. They have branding, they have logo designs, as you can see. They also have label design, they have letterheads, they have UV printing, they have brochures. All these are services they can provide to you. And when you get to this side, they have flyer designs, and also they have DTF printing, fiber services, poster designs, and also they have pen marking. Now these are services that are being provided by this profitable and also well-known company, and if you want to get contact with them and have your best designs provided to you at the right time, then I'll urge you to look up to this particular company. You can have a contact with them through WhatsApp and also via call based on these two contacts that we have here. So you can call them or you can have a WhatsApp chat with this particular company. Now, if you are on Instagram, then I'll also urge you to scan this particular QR code and you are going to get contact or have the page pop up to you on your computer screen on their Instagram page. That is their Instagram page. You have a chat with them, you have a communication with them, and whatever services that you need from this profitable company, they are going to provide you the best services as I am recommending them to you. Now back to our video. So as I said, what are formulas? Formulas are user-defined expressions that calculate values using operations, functions, and references. So if you could remember, in the beginning of this video I said these two variables have some similarities, especially in terms of their operations. They seems to be similar, but when you are a good user of Microsoft Excel, you have a notice that these two variables have their differences. As the definition goes by formulas, they are user-defined expressions, which means that this is not an inbuilt or a predefined function or formula. Rather, it is an expression that has been combined based on the user references or preferences. So this particular user-defined expressions calculate values using operations, functions, and references. And when we talk about references, then we are relating to cell references. Now, they provide flexibility and customization. In this time around, these particular formulas are being customized, and because of their flexibility, they are being customized by the user to have a perfect operation function to give the perfect output based on the user needs. Now, some examples of formulas are what we have in this particular area. We have the equal to A1 plus B4. This is a user expression, and also this is also a user expression because we have a function that has been combined by another character, which is a formula. And when there are two or more functions combined together, it becomes a formula. Rather, it is not a function because this is not an inbuilt or a predefined function that has been automatically detected in Excel to perform a calculation. Rather, this is an expression that the user has defined using two or more functions or using references and also operations to have that particular effect done. And as I said, based on this example, we have some references here which are A1 and B4, and we have this mathematical operation which is going to help this calculate and give us the output. So this is a user defined expression. When you look at this particular example, we have this equal to sum function, and we have this references, and we have this mathematical operation which is also going to have our output given to us positively. So these are the theoretical differences between functions and formulas. Now, though these variables that we talked about, which are the functions and formulas, they are all very profitable and very important in Microsoft Excel. And then these variables ensures that accurate calculations are given to us in our worksheets, and also it helps the reduction of errors when these functions and formulas are used correctly. So let's get right into the interface of Microsoft Excel, and let me perform a simple function and formula so that we can have these differences at our doorsteps. So this is an Excel workbook that has been opened on my Windows interface, and let's practically see some examples of functions and also formulas that will be detected that definitely there is a difference between a function and a formula. Now, looking at this well organized data I have in this worksheet, I have products and sales, and under these two columns we have their data typed below. And when it comes to the sales column, we have some values here which are of currency, and if I click below, this particular data because it is vertically organized. It helps easy use of functions in Microsoft Excel. One thing about formula and a function is that if your data is not well organized, that is when you choose to use a formula or you choose to use a function. But in this case, I have this data vertically organized and arranged. Therefore, if I click below this particular data and then I move to this middle bar, click on this home tab. In the home ribbon, we have the cells, we have the editing group, and we have this icon that says sum. When you click beside this icon, we have the sum, average, count numbers, max, mean, and then we have more functions. These outputs that we have here are all functions, and these are inbuilt or predefined functions that perform calculations or expressions automatically. So in this case, when I click on sum, you can see that automatically this has detected the data above this current cell, and this is telling me that these data are selected, and this function that we have here was not typed by the user, or it was not defined by the user. Rather, because it is an inbuilt function or inbuilt formula, and anything that is an inbuilt formula, as I said, it is a function. So because this has detected the data above, we have this function available which says equal to sum b2 colon b9, and this tells you that you don't have to make any modification about this. You can just click or press the enter key on the keyboard, and you are going to have your output given to you automatically. And based on the theoretical explanation, we said it saves time. Yes, it saves time, as you can see in this particular area. The moment you have an inbuilt function in your Excel workbook and the user tries to define or make any modification to that particular function, then it becomes a formula. Because since there is no modification given to this, then this particular function works perfectly. Now if I delete, then move back to the home tab, in the cells group, click on the arrow and then choose max. This is also a function, and when I press the enter key, this gives me the max number among this range of cells. So this is also a function. So for you to get a function, it is already available in the Excel ribbon, and it is an inbuilt expression. You just have to select, and that is going to perform your action. When you click more functions, you have this window, and this is where you're going to select all this inbuilt function in this particular window. And when you choose that particular function, that is going to work for you in your current worksheet. So if you choose something like sum if, you're going to have this function argument dialog box, and in this case you are going to define all your parameters. When you use this particular definition in this argument dialog box, then you are going to have it as a formula. I hope I have best explained a function to you. So what is a formula practically? How can we have a formula in our Excel workbook? In this case, we don't have a formula in this particular ribbon. Anything that we select is going to give us the inbuilt function. So in this case, if I select a function, that is a sum function, this is going to give me the inbuilt function, and then I'm going to have my output, which is going to save me time. But if I want to deal with formulas, then when I click, I have to choose more functions, and in this case I'm going to select sum, click on OK. This has already detected the range of cells that needs to be calculated, and it has given me the output. And when I click on OK, this also is a function. But the moment I make a modification to this particular effect, then it becomes a formula. In Excel, if you want to calculate something, you use the equal to sign, and that is going to prompt Excel that you want to have some calculation. And even when I type the equal to sign, you can see that my ribbon has been deactivated. Some of the commands are not available. It's because we have the equal to sign available. If I click a cell, I'm going to have all this ribbon activated. So the moment you type an equal to sign, this is going to deactivate every options that you have on your ribbon. Now that we have this, what are some of the ways of inputting formulas in Excel? When we talk about the definition, we said it deals with operations, functions, and references. When I type the equal to sign, this is when you are going to locate the individual data in their individual cell references. So this particular figure is in B2. Therefore, I click, and that is going to be selected in this area. Then you bring your plus symbol, click plus, click plus, click plus, click plus, click. So this is an example of a formula in Microsoft Excel. Why? Because it is a user defined expression. That is what the user preferences is based on, and that is what he or she is going to define and have its calculation done. As I said, this is not a function, rather this is a user defined expression, so this is known as a formula. Therefore, when I press the enter key, I'm going to have the output given to me. When we use the inbuilt function, this also gave us the same output. Let's assume I select this area, move to the home tab, click on this arrow and choose sum. You see that nothing happens because there is no data above, beside, or below this current selected cell, which is the active cell. Therefore, this inbuilt function will not work in this area. But if we are dealing with formulas, then this is going to work perfectly for us, because this is when the user is going to define its own expression, applying its own operations, references, and also functions. So when I select this area, which is the blank area, when I type the equal to sign, I can click, bring the plus sign, click the plus sign, and click. This means that I can have the output in any area of my worksheet. So formulas, you can have your output in any section in your current worksheet, but if you are trying to use an inbuilt function, you are going to have some complication, because if that area that is selected, there is no data around, that is going to be difficult for the inbuilt function to give you the output. And as it was illustrated before, when I chose the inbuilt function, nothing happens because the active cell do not have any data around it, whether above, below, beside it. But formulas, you can define it and then have its output in any cell in your worksheet. So when I press the enter key, this is the output that I have, and this is a formula. I'm going to use combinations of functions. If I type the equal to sign, then type the sum function. Now I'm going to involve my argument. So I'm going to select this area. So let's assume that I'm going to select this range of cells. Then I'm going to close the bracket and then add another operator and type the number 2. This particular argument that we have here is a formula, because we have a function and also we have an operator that is available, which is going to multiply this number, and this is also a user defined expression. When I press the enter key, I get this output, which means that this has added all these values that we have here and multiply it by 2. When I move to the formula bar, I can still define this particular formula. Maybe I want to change the number 2 and then use the number 6 and press the enter key, and this is going to change dynamically. You can also double click to have your formula viewed to you, and you can make some modification. So let's assume that in this case I want to ignore the cell B5. I can change it to B4 and then press the enter key, and that is also going to give me the output. So when it comes to formulas, the user has the flexibility and also the customization effect to make those modifications to the available formulas. So I hope you are getting the understanding between functions and formulas in Microsoft Excel. Let's try another example. We can have multiple functions put together, and that is also known as a formula. So let's assume that I have the if function. So if the sum of this range of cells is greater than 2000, then I want an output for this particular formula. Now, this long expression that I have in this Microsoft Excel worksheet, which is if the sum of this range of cells is greater than 2000, then this should give me a perfect output. That is the output that I want. But if it is less than 2000, then it should give me not available. When I press the enter key, it says not available because the range of cells that we have is not greater than 2000. Now, if I move to the formula bar and try to have a modification, this tells me that this is a formula because I have the flexibility and also the customization to have some changes to this particular formula. If I move and change this to 800 and press the enter key, it says not available. When we add this range of cells, it is not above 800. Now I'm going to change this to B2, and then still this tells me that when I add these values, it is not greater than 800. So you can see how I am having some modifications and flexibility in terms of this inputted formulas that I have in Microsoft Excel. The more you change these values, then you are going to have the output that you want based on the expression that you have in your worksheet. Now when I press the enter key, now this says perfect output, meaning all this added range of cells is above 80. When I double click, this is the formula that was expressed by me. That is the user defined expression, and this is the output that I have.